Hello everyone, thanks for joining us for the 3:30 Wushka training session. We're about to begin. So let's just go through a little bit of the housekeeping items. So just to improve the quality of the presentation, we're just going to ask you to mute your audio, which I think you all have, which is wonderful. And you won't be requiring video because we'll just be concentrating on the Wushka program, so we'll just be focusing at the screen. The session will be recorded, so if you would like a copy of this recording following the session, you can email Wushka, support@wushka.com.au. And some of you may have already introduced yourselves through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. My colleague Julie is answering your chat questions today during the session, so feel free to jump on and introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining us from and how you think you might be using Wushka within your learning environment. And I think that we will get going. I'm just going to turn off my camera and we will start. So my name is Kirilie Newcombe, so I am a Wushka literacy specialist. I'm also an MTA school consultant. So I'll be taking you through the Wushka training today. So following the training session today, you can actually download a copy of all the chat questions and answers. So you just go into your chat box and over to the right there are 3 dots, and if you click on those dots it will give the option to download. So that might be a great takeaway at the end of the session as well, just to have those questions and answers handy. So now I'm just going to introduce you to Wushka Literacy. Wushka Literacy is a digital reading program and it is cloud-based. So cloud basically means that you don't access the program via an app, you access it via a browser. There are many advantages to having a cloud-based program, but a couple of the main ones are there is never any software updating required, which is a great one for you. So you don't have to update as a teacher, and you don't have to expect your, your mums and dads or your students to update before they can hop in and start using Wushka and doing their reading. Another advantage to having the cloud-based program is that it is device friendly, as we say. So you don't have to have a iPad or a specified device to be able to access the program. So you can have PC, Android, Apple, laptop, tablet, it doesn't matter. Anything with a browser, you can access Wushka Literacy. Now, saying that, we do recommend Google Chrome as a preferred browser. And the reason for that is it just allows more functionality of the product. Firefox is another great browser to use, and Safari is also okay, but our number one would be Google Chrome. So just keep that in mind for yourself and for your students. Now, Wushka Literacy's library is based on the ready-to-read colour wheel, which you can see here from magenta all the way up to black 31++, and reading recovery levels, which you can see listed here. So these were developed by the New Zealand Department of Education and Learning Media, and this is how we have levelled our readers within Wushka Literacy. I'll show you where you can download this correlation chart within Wushka a little bit later from your dashboard in helpful resources. Now, I just wanted to mention to you also that one of the main reasons that Wushka Literacy was invented was so that students concentrated on their comprehension, not just their reading. So at the end of each of our 650 readers, there is a short 4 or 5 question quiz. And that is to really concentrate on whether the students have actually understood what they've just read. And we have developed these questions based on the Bloom's hierarchical model of questioning, or the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, that you can see on your screen at the moment. So what that basically means is the lower level readers have got questions that pertain to remembering and basic understanding of what they've just read. And as you go up the levels of readers within Wushka, the comprehension strategies and questioning will become a little bit more complex. So I just wanted to let you know that there is actually a method to the questions at the end of our end of all of the readers in Wushka literacy. All right, so I am going to pop out of this screen now and go into Wushka literacy, and we'll start having a look around. So just bear with me while I change screens. Okay, hopefully you can see the Wushka literacy screen now. All right, so when you log in, there's a login button to the top right-hand corner here on our landing page. I'm actually using the New Zealand Wushka site. We have an Australian site, a New Zealand site, and we also have international sites. You would have received your a registration email for yourself to activate and then set up a password. If you haven't received that, please let us know via the support@wushka.com.au email address. Your username will always be your professional email address, and the password is whatever you made it. If you've forgotten your password, you do have a lost password link here on login. Otherwise, you can contact your school product coordinator, and they can be in contact with us and we can reset that for you, so that's not a problem. All right, when you log in as a teacher, you will see the teacher dashboard, which looks like this. And it is filled with colourful cards. Each of these colourful cards represents a different Wushka view, and you can see listed on each of these colourful cards descriptions of what you can do with each of these views. So this is really handy when you're starting out in Wushka, just kind of guiding you to where you need to go to do what. And as you get more proficient at using Wushka, you can use these shortcut keys down here along the bottom toolbar. So that's what I'll be using today. So I'm just going to hop in now and just show you quickly what the reading library looks like in Wushka, where our 650 readers are located and what they look like, so that you can picture this in your head as we're going forward. So as you can see, using that ready to read colour wheel, they're organised in your coloured reading boxes from magenta all the way down to your 31++ black box, and you can just scroll through. You can open the box and scroll through that way, and they're all in each of their levels. All of the teacher resources are actually located under each of the readers, and we're going to go into that a little bit later on in a little bit more detail, and we'll also be showing you this fabulous function called the filter, where you can filter digital readers, which certainly lends weight to having a digital reading system, because it takes a lot to be able to filter physical books. So that's fabulous. We'll come back to that a little bit later. So the first area that I want to show you is how to set up your class. So we're going to go into the class list view within Wushka, and I'm going to go into one of my classes that's been set up. So when you go into your class list, we should have uploaded your students into your class. So you will be seeing your students' first names and surnames and their username here. So you can see that some of these words and names have a dotted blue line underneath them, and that indicates to you that they are editable. You can change these and there will be no ramifications within Wushka, so feel free to edit all of these. If there's a mistake to one of your students' names, you can certainly edit that and then confirm it by using the tick. You can see also that this code here does not have a dotted blue line underneath it, and that means that it's hard coded, and that's been system processed as the student's username. So all of the data for this student will be kept under that code, so that is not editable. Some of you may have had a password set up for you in the uploading process. Some of you may not have. So what you would like to do, what you should do next is set up a password. So you can do that individually by just typing in a password for each of your students. But more often than not, the preference is to make the password the same for all students. They have a unique username already, so they can have the same password. And how you would do that quickly is you would go up to the Manage Class button, the grey button on the right-hand side of the screen, and you would do that via Set Class Password option here. So I'm going to change that to Wushka, if I can spell. There we go. And then Set Class Password, and that will instantly change the password. And the next two columns are compulsory within Wushka. So each of your students needs to be given a reading level, and we would recommend that you set that at their independent reading level. So you drop down menu and you choose where you feel your students are at a independent reading level. So we have Sienna here at the highest level, Black 31++, and I use the tick. And the next column is levels access. So you saw the levels of readers before, from magenta right through to black. You are choosing now how many of those levels they will have access to. So Sienna is reading at an independent black level, and I have chosen to give her a reading level, which is black, and one level below, which is bronze. So she actually has access to 2 reading levels. That is quite a popular option. So I will just select that and tick the box. And then we've got Pat here on the next line, and she is reading at gold level. And I have decided to give her access to just the gold level, which is reading level only, which is this option here. So with just setting up the password, reading level and levels access, you're actually ready to go with Wushka. You can now create a login form and send home your logins to your students, and they can get going with Wushka. So I'll show you how you do that. Up at the Manage Class button, again, the grey Manage Class button, you click through there, and there is an option there called Generate Student Letters. And this basically self-populates for you. So you have the website which you're using, which will be either the wushka.co.New Zealand or .com.au if you're in the Australian site. You'll have the student's name, the username and the password, and it's all in a lovely setup here. You can use, you can download as a PDF. You can use snipping tools to send this out, email it out to your students. You can download it and print it. And physically send it home in packs with students. It's up to you. Snipping tools, there's a number of snipping tools available. If you need support with that, you can email us at support@wushka.com.au or ask Julie in chat. So that's what that looks like. So let's go back to class list. Now the next 2 columns are reading group and reading group permissions. So these are optional in Wushka, but there are good reasons why you might you might want to use reading group and reading group permissions. So for instance, Pat here is reading at gold level, and now he is ready to progress into silver readers. And instead of giving Pat the whole of silver as a whole level, you might want to just give 3 or 5 readers. So he slowly works his way through the silver level. That will make sure that he doesn't whip through the whole of silver quickly and you run out of readers, and you can just control the speed at which he goes through the next level of readers. So all you would do is create a reading group and put Pat into that reading group and allocate 3 to 5 readers, or how many readers you want to pop into that reading group, and put permissions on to on. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. Another reason that you might want to set up reading groups is for instructional purposes. You might want to put in unseen readers for assessment or instructional learning reasons, and actually control those readers not to be seen until you need to Zoom with your students and have that session. And then just before the session, you can turn those on so that the student can access them. You can have that, that instructional reading group experience or the assessment. And then when you've finished with the readers, you can either turn those off again, or you can actually switch Reese back to the regular readers for at home, and she's back to reading her regular home readers. Another reason that you might want to set up a reading group is for your younger readers. So Billy Top here might be in kindergarten or prep and is reading at a red level. Red level has 64 readers in it. So if you were to allocate Billy his reading level only, you would be providing Billy with 64 readers at once. So that might be a little bit overwhelming for some of your students. You know your students better than anyone. So some of your younger readers, they may really revel in having all of that choice, and others might need to be closed down a little bit. So you can lock down Billy to seeing only the readers that you place in a reading group. And then again, you set up a reading group and allocate Billy to that reading group. I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. And the final reason you might want to create a reading group is perhaps for your older readers. You may want to provide certain readers for a project or a comprehension activity. You might want to give them access to a history library or a technology library where you've grouped books for a reason or a purpose in that reading group. So there's lots of different reasons that you can use reading groups. As I said, it's optional, but there's certainly some really great ways that you can use reading groups. So how you create a reading group is through, again, the Manage Class button. Create reading group. You can call it whatever you want to call it. And then you would just go down to wherever you needed to allocate that reading group to. And now Billy is in the mouse reading group. Before we leave this page to have a look how you manage the reading groups, I'm just going to show you the next couple of columns. This just completes your student experience. So you know, again, your students better than anyone. So if you feel that giving them options of allowing them to use narration is a good idea, then you can leave the narration option open for your students. If you think they'll get distracted by narration, then you can turn narration off, and that's a per student option. So you might have English as a second language for some of the students in your class, and so narration may be a very good option. As you go up the readers, some of the readers might have foreign towns and rulers, and again, narration is very handy to be able to pronounce those difficult words. Quizzes are defaulted to compulsory in Wushka, but you can certainly change that to optional or off altogether as well. And again, it depends on your students and whether you feel that they will be overwhelmed if they have a compulsory 4 or 5 question quiz at the end of their readers or not. So you can decide what you'd like to do with that. And you just choose your option and then tick again. So let's hop into reading groups and I'll show you how Wushka helps you keep track of your readers. So let's go to just find Billy's reading group. So this is the one. Oh, we've just changed Billy out of the reading group, but that's okay. He was in the fire engines and he had 4 readers allocated to him, and you can see here they're red level. This one is fiction, this one is non-fiction. And Billy has finished reading for his readers for the week. So I can either individually archive these 4 books by using the little file symbol, or I can and even, you know, archive 3 of them and leave 1 of them if that's what you'd like to do if he hasn't finished with the 4th reader. Or if you know he's finished with all of them and everyone else in that reading group has finished with all of them, then you can simply go up to the toolbox here and archive all readers in one go. And that will place them back into the red level library on the left-hand side. And now Wushka will also mark them with a little folder saying that you have allocated these and these have now been archived. So you can still reallocate these readers that you have previously allocated to this Home Readers Fire Engines reading group. However, it's just indicating to you, Wushka is just keeping track for you that you have already allocated those ones. The ones with the plus symbol have not been allocated, so we can allocate some of those now. You can also filter by fiction and non-fiction if you want. So you can be quite targeted with how you allocate. So that is, that's live now. So any of the students in this reading group would instantly be able to see those readers, which is wonderful. So then you would just go on to your next reading group and go through the same process. Now you can see here there's a yellow star. This is another indicator that Wushka is keeping track of something for you, which is that you've actually bookmarked this book, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. You may have bookmarked this book because you want to use it as a class reading activity book, or you are using it as a sight unseen book for assessment purposes. So you have bookmarked it for a reason. So Wushka is just indicating to you that you've bookmarked it and perhaps you don't want to allocate it to the reading groups at this time. All right, so all this reading ends up with lots of reading data. So I'm going to show you now the other reason that Wushka was invented, which is to provide teachers, parents and students with reading data. So instead of having to wait until the end of the week to see the reading log and how Sienna has been going with her reading, you can see instantly how her reading is and what her routines are. So this is a live log of the last 7 days for Sienna. So you can see over the Easter break, she didn't do any reading, and on Tuesday she read 2 books, yesterday no books, and today 1 book. And this is an indication for the last 4 weeks. So these 2 weeks she did no reading, but the last 2 weeks she has read 5 books and 3 books. Now, any of these points where she's actually read books, you can drill in using the More button and have a good look at the details of her reading. So this is the title of the book. It's a black level fiction. This is China, black level non-fiction. 11 seconds it took her to read. That's my reading. And what time of the day or night she has been reading. So you start to build up an understanding of what the routines of the reading routines are for Sienna. Now, if it was normal class and home time, you can filter by school hours and home hours, which is 8 a.m. to 4 PM is school time, and the other times are home time, but at the moment, both hours have merged into one. You can also see on Sienna's page other data. Is she rereading the same books, or is she approaching new books? How many of the books, what percentage of the books that you've allocated her has she actually read? And you can see her progress through the levels that you've allocated to her. How much narration is she using? If this was at 50%, perhaps that's too much narration being used, and you can then go back to your class list and turn off narration for a little while. Does she prefer fiction or non-fiction? So these are the kind of things that you can get a good idea about with each of your students. Down the bottom of the page, you can also see a graph which gives you a snapshot of how her quiz results are. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quizzes so far on this graph. And you can see the green is correct answers, the red is incorrect. So she's kind of dropped off here a little bit with her quiz results. You can drill into these quizzes and actually see where Sienna has gone right and wrong, so that you might support her. Maybe get her to do these readers again after you do that. You can also see all quiz results for that, for each student, as far back as they've been using Wushka on a very detailed level, which is fantastic. And you can also generate a student statistics report, which is a PDF report, and it's a snapshot of exactly this page with the dates, all the reading statistics, and the student's name on top, which is really handy for teacher-parent interviews and also filing away for reporting. So that's the class list setup, that's reading groups, and we've had a look at the student data detail. Here's PATS, just to give you an idea of what PATS looks like. So each of your students will have a different data page with different reading routines. There's also a class statistics page, which I'll let you have a look at. It gives you a good overview so you can really hone in then on any of your students that might need support. I'm going to pop into reading boxes now. So this is where our library of our readers are. And as I showed you before, they're all organised by the ready to read colour wheel and reading recovery levels. And I'm going to show you the filter. So this is fabulous. If you need to filter on theme, I'm just going to choose maybe sports, fiction, non-fiction, page extent, if you wanted to issue one reader for the whole class, but you only wanted it to be 12 pages long. Comprehension strategy. So if you wanted to really focus on one of the comprehension strategies and find all the books in that, using that strategy. Or if you want to focus on a text type. So there's lots of options in here to filter by. You can filter on one or more. So I'm just going to filter on sports, which is a theme, and then you choose filter result. And Wushka will give you the results for each of the levels for those filters. So if there's no books that within that criteria, then you won't have any for that level. Now, the idea here is that you can cover a comprehension strategy or a theme or a text type by allocating the right level book to your reading groups where your students are already organised in levelled groups. All right, so that's a fabulous, fun function. So I'll let you have a play with that a bit later. I'm going to reset that now and hop into a couple of our readers just so that I can show you where the reading resources are. Okay, so this is what it looks like for a teacher when they log into a reader. Here's your reader. Here is how you can bookmark your book to find it later, and that will also put the yellow star on the top of the reader. It will give you some initial reader description, a more detailed description of the book, and also metadata, so high frequency words, page count, word count, Each of our 650 readers have Blackline Masters that you can view and download and then upload into your various student portals. There's a lesson plan to again download and read through and utilize the book in that way. There are printable readers and also wordless printable readers, which are great for creative writing. And this book is actually part of our running records as well, and I'll show you where that is in a little while. So to get into the reader, you just click into the book like this, and you can use the arrows to go through to a 2-page spread. And there is a narration option here as a teacher as well. At the end of the reader, you exit out, and this is where the quiz will pop up. As a teacher, I can opt out of the quiz. But if this is set to compulsory, then your students will go through the quiz without an option. So obviously this is low level. So what is the story about? And you can just go through the questions. Now, Wushka is a traditional reading program. So we expect at the lower levels that you will have a parent sitting with a student, with a child, going through their readers and then assisting them with the comprehension questions at the end. Now, parents love these comprehension questions because at the end of the readers, they don't have to come up with their own comprehension questions. So we're really supporting our parents with this product. And then a result will come up and you've finished your reader. Now, I just wanted to point out to you that obviously Wushka is a learning to read product, but it is also a reading to learn product as well. So up the top of our reading boxes, and I'll show you to the highest level on the other end of the spectrum, we have high level books with even more teacher resources. We'll go right up to black and hop into China. And this is the China book here. Again, similar information and data on those readers. There's the Blackline Master lesson plan to view and download, but there is also discussion cards. So within these discussion cards, there are individual exercises based on China. So this is where you can really use Wushka as a springboard to further comprehension activities, project work, group work. Obviously in a classroom, working together in pairs and as a team is easier, but you know, you may be able to get creative with that. And there is always a writing exercise as well. And we love writing exercises. So these are available from fluency levels up. And I just wanted to mention that to you. So it's not just, you know, a learning to read program. Wushka has a lot of content that can be used as springboard to further comprehension activities and project work. All right, so we've nearly finished going through Wushka. I will just show you a couple more areas and then we'll have a look at some Wushka from the student's point of view. So back to your dashboard here, there is another area called helpful resources, and this is where you can download some support materials as a teacher. There are resources to send home, Facebook links and letters that you can download and send home. On the left-hand side are your program coordinator setup guides, your teacher setup guides. This is the correlation guide that we talked about before. And this is your running record. So you can download this, have a look at which of our readers are used for the running records, and then you can bookmark them like I showed you before, so that it gets one of those, or the readers you chose, the chosen readers have that yellow star in the top right hand corner so that you can indicate that that those are your sight unseen readers. Also there's literacy progress markers by reading box. So this is a familiar document that just gives you a bit of a tick box to give you confidence before progressing your students to the next level in Wushka. So that's all there under helpful resources for you. All right, now lastly, let's have a look at student login. so that you can have a look what it looks like from a student's point of view. Now, going through student login actually logs you out as a teacher and logs you in as a student. So if you do any reading while you're in this mode, you are adding to the data of your students. I'm just letting you know. So as you'll see, I'm going into Sienna's login, and the first thing that you see is the reading group. So whatever reading group, if you've set them up, will come up first, and that is their focus. So whether it's a project group or it's their weekly readers, that will pop up if you've made it visible. You can see that Sienna is 50% of the way through her project readers. She can see which ones she's read by this little tag here and how many times. And then you've also given her 2 whole levels, so bronze and black, that she can just browse and read. And again, she'll see the ones that she's read and which ones she hasn't. And then if she hops into any of these readers, she will see a very clean page. The reader is there. She can favorite it to her page and it will stay there for her forever. She'll see a little bit of a description on the book and further activities if she'd like to do something after finishing reading. And then she hops into the reader like I showed you before and does the quiz. On her page, it's similar but not as much detail as the teacher's data page. They're her favourites, and then this is her data. And again, this is all live data that will be added to if she reads books. And her parents can also access this. So if they've got multiple children doing their reading and they haven't been able to sit with Sienna all day, they can have a look in here and say, okay, Sienna, you've done some reading. However, some of the quiz results were quite low. Let's have a look where you went wrong. Let's reread the book together and let's focus on what you didn't understand. So this is, again, really handy for parents. All right, so that gives you an overview of Wushka from the teacher's point of view as well as the student's point of view. Now we just might have a look at the chat questions and see if there are any further questions that we can answer for you. Thanks, Julie, for answering all the questions. Yeah, so that helpful resources is just this pink card here when you're on your dashboard. And that has all your, you can download your running records and your correlation guides and other helpful resources and guides. If we want to have a look at the running records, I can pop into the page. Support materials for reading assessment. This is your running records here. And so if I was to download that, I'll show you what it looks like. So it's for levels 1 to 22, the reading recovery levels. And it just explains to you how you use the form that is provided under each of the reading running records books or readers. And it explains to you the different types of assessment tools. So sequence strips, word cards, discussion cards. And then these are the readers for each of the colour wheels. So magenta, these are the assessment texts, the running records. And red and yellow. So you can go through and pick which ones that you wanted to use for your assessment purposes and then go back and bookmark those so that the yellow star appears on them so that you keep them for your assessment sight unseen purposes. So I'm just looking through the chat. So allocating activities for students to do via, the activities and the Blackline Masters. From what we're dealing with schools all the time, and it seems like Seesaw and Google Classroom is being used as student portals, and these PDFs can be downloaded and then uploaded into those portals for students to access. They don't need to be able to print them out to do them. There are PDF editing tools that you can use. I think Cami is one within the Google Classroom portal that you can use it's an extension product that you can use for students to edit the PDFs. Shobi and Explain Everything is also editing tools for PDFs. Parents can't see any of the teacher resources. It's really up to the teacher to download the appropriate activities and then upload them into the portals or send them home physically with learning kits to the students. And on that note, Wushka is very much a teacher-centric product. So you will be in charge of, as a teacher, the levels of reading that you're giving access to each student as well. So we can go back to that class list and have a look. So these levels are set by you and can't be altered by students or parents as well. So it really is very teacher-centric. Any other questions? Just having a look at some of the other chats, see if there's any questions I can answer. You're most welcome. Thank you, Susie. Thanks, Bernadette. Thanks, Jody. Thanks for joining us today. If you do have any more questions, you can email support@wushka.com.au. If we finish with the questions, I might just pop up one last slide, which might be of interest to you. So just as we are offering Wushka literacy to schools for free until the end of June, we have partnered with ST Maths, which is an online maths program invented by the Mind Research Institute, and they are providing our schools free access until the 30th of June as well. So if you're interested in checking out the ST Maths, we have information on our website at the MTA website, www.teaching.com.au, or you can email support@wushka.com.au. And don't forget to save the chat, everyone, if you'd like to use the 3 dots at the bottom of your chat screen. And you can email us at support@wushka.com.au if you would like a recording of this session to go over it again. Thanks, everyone. Thanks very much. Yes, have a play. There might be questions after you have a play, so just feel free to contact us if you have any more questions. The origin of the name Wushka. Well, it depends on who you ask. I think it had something to do with speed and an Aussie Aussie sounding name. So Wushka. And it stuck. So kids love to say Wushka time, drop everything in Wushka. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone. Have a great evening. Yes, if you would like a video of a number of our presentations, just email support@wushka.com.au and we can send those out to you so you can distribute them. You're most welcome. Have a lovely evening. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting now. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you. Bye for now.